I'll check in on Greenland.
What if I told you that Greenland, the world's largest island, could change the future of our planet?
Well, this is an interesting development.
And we might be running out of time to stop it.
Really?
Should we be worried?
Greenland's ice is melting.
Melting.
Fast. Over the last century, the island has lost trillions of tons of ice, and it's happening quicker than anyone thought possible. If the ice sheets of Greenland were to disappear entirely, the global consequences would be unimaginable. Since 1972, Greenland has lost a staggering 3.8 trillion tons of ice.
The ice is melting!
This may sound like an abstract number, but in reality, it represents a seismic shift in our planet's climate system.
Global warming?
So, what happens when this ice is gone? What does it mean for the world? The truth may shock you.
Global warming!
And it might already be too late to stop it.
I feel unstoppable.
Greenland, the world's largest island, has long been a place of mystery. Separated by thousands of miles of icy ocean, it's a land of extremes, with vast ice caps that have shaped the region for millennia. It's a land of beauty and wild, untouched nature, yet it's also one of the places where the effects of climate change are most visible. What happens here, in this remote icy expanse, will affect all of us.
I'm melting! I'm melting!
So, to understand why Greenland's ice sheets matter so much, we need to start by looking at the sheer size of the Greenland ice sheet itself. Covering roughly 80% of Greenland's surface area, it is honestly one of the largest bodies of ice in the world. The Greenland ice sheet holds around 10% of the world's fresh water. Let that sink in for a second. 10% of all the fresh water on Earth is locked away in the glaciers of Greenland. The scale of this ice sheet is so massive that if it were to melt completely, global sea levels would rise by more than 20 feet, or about 6 meters.
Flood.
Blood?
This isn't just an environmental issue for Greenland. This is, honestly, a global problem. We're talking about a massive shift in sea levels that could displace millions of people around the world. It would flood major coastal cities, wipe out entire islands, and change ecosystems in ways that could take centuries to recover from. Miami, New York, London, all of these cities, and many more, would be underwater within just a matter of decades.
Look out! Floods are coming!
If this sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, it's actually not. This is happening right now. Greenland's ice sheets are melting at a rapid pace.
Everything is melting.
In fact, the rate of ice loss has tripled since the 1990s. Between 1992 and 2018, Greenland lost more than 4.7 trillion tons of ice. The loss is accelerating, and scientists have found that this is happening at a faster rate than they had ever anticipated. In 2020 alone, Greenland lost more than 500 billion tons of ice, and, well, the trend continues. The reason this is happening is that warmer temperatures are causing the ice to melt faster.
The ice is melting!
And in some cases, it's breaking apart entirely. As the glaciers melt, they release fresh water into the ocean. This process is known as melting from the surface. Additionally, the ice shelves at the edge of Greenland are also breaking off and floating away, a process known as calving.
Paddle! Paddle!
But the real problem begins when you look at what happens as Greenland's ice melts. As the ice disappears, the Earth's albedo effect, or the amount of sunlight reflected back into space, decreases. Ice is highly reflective, meaning that it bounces a lot of sunlight back into space, helping to cool the planet. However, as the ice melts and exposes darker ocean waters underneath, more sunlight is absorbed rather than reflected. This leads to a vicious cycle. The more ice melts, the more heat is absorbed, which causes more ice to melt. This is known as a feedback loop, and it's one of the reasons why Greenland's ice loss is so alarming.
I was freezing cold.
Let's take a look at some current statistics. Greenland's ice melt is now contributing to roughly 1/4 of global sea level rise. According to NASA's Ice Bridge program, Greenland's ice sheet has contributed about 0.8 millimeters to sea level rise each year between 2011 and 2020. While that may sound small, consider this: every year, Greenland's ice loss is contributing to a rise in sea levels that threatens coastal communities around the globe. So, back in 2021, researchers from the University of Maryland published a study revealing that Greenland's ice sheet has melted at an accelerated rate over the past 40 years. The research actually found that Greenland's ice loss has increased by a factor of 3 since the 1990s. And, well, this trend is expected to continue. Honestly, this is a global emergency, and it's happening right now. You might be wondering, why does Greenland's ice sheet melt faster than, say, Antarctica? The primary reason lies in the geography and climate of Greenland. See, Greenland sits at a higher latitude, which means it's experiencing rapid warming due to climate change.
Did the climate change again?
The Arctic is warming roughly twice as fast as the global average, a phenomenon known as Arctic amplification. As the Arctic warms, it directly affects the temperature of Greenland, causing the ice to melt even faster. This warming trend isn't just some abstract scientific concept, it's actually impacting people's lives. In 2020, a heat wave in Greenland caused the island's ice sheet to lose an incredible 12.5 billion tons of ice in just one day.
This is shocking!
That was the largest single-day ice loss in Greenland's history. The heat wave resulted in the loss of massive ice chunks and, yeah, it really accelerated the melt rate. In addition to rising sea levels, there are other cascading effects of Greenland's ice loss that are already being felt. The influx of fresh water from Greenland's glaciers into the ocean is altering ocean currents. These currents play a critical role in regulating the Earth's climate, and any disruption to them can lead to extreme weather patterns, including more frequent and intense storms, flooding, and droughts.
Why? Storm's coming.
In short, Greenland's ice melt is not just a coastal problem, it's a global climate problem.
Strange weather patterns.
But here's where it gets really concerning. The latest projections show that Greenland's ice sheet could contribute as much as 1.6 meters, or about 5.25 feet, to global sea level rise by the year 2100. This is far beyond what scientists predicted just a few decades ago, and as ice melt accelerates, it's likely that this projection will continue to rise.
Flooded, the water is rising. Why are you going down?
This brings us to a critical question. Can we stop this from happening? The answer, while not simple, is not all doom and gloom. Scientists are working on ways to slow down the melting of Greenland's ice, and the global community is beginning to take action. However, these efforts will require massive international cooperation and urgent action on climate change. The key lies in reducing global greenhouse gas emissions. If we can limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, as outlined in the Paris Climate Agreement, we could slow down the rate of ice melt significantly. But you know, we're already on track to exceed that target, which means the window to act is closing fast.
Our window's closing.
So, what can we do? The first step is to reduce our carbon footprint. We must transition to renewable energy, increase energy efficiency, and reduce deforestation. By taking action now, we can prevent even more catastrophic impacts in the future.
Safe, renewable energy, and cheap electricity for everyone.
Governments, industries, and individuals all have a role to play in combating climate change. Greenland's future is, in many ways, our future. What happens to this frozen island will define the fate of millions of people living in coastal cities, and it will shape the future of our planet. The question is, will we act in time to save it? The shocking truth is that the fate of Greenland is in our hands. What we do in the next few decades will determine whether we can mitigate the rising sea levels, or whether this ice sheet will melt beyond repair, taking with it the stability of our planet's climate. The clock is ticking. What we do now will determine whether Greenland becomes a symbol of what we've lost, or a beacon of what we've saved.
Thank you for watching.